she screamed from the other side of the fence. "You owe the HOA, Mark! Until you pay, that dam's coming down!" I laughed, half in disbelief, half in anger. "You think you can touch my dam? That thing's on my private land!" Karen, the HOA president, stood there in her sun hat and fake smile, clutching a clipboard like it gave her power. Behind her were two men in neon vests, holding demolition tools like they were about to start work. "This whole lake supports our community," she said, waving her hands toward the water. "You stop paying your HOA fees, so we're taking action." I stepped closer, trying to keep my voice steady. "That dam cost me 5 years of savings. It keeps your community from flooding every time it rains. You take it down, and you're signing your own disaster." Karen just smirked. "Then maybe you'll learn your lesson." Before I could even grab my phone, she waved her hand and the workers revved up their machines. "Don't you dare touch that!" I shouted, sprinting toward them, but one of her men blocked my way. The sound of concrete cracking filled the air. My chest tightened as I watched water begin to gush through a hole. Karen turned her back to me with a little laugh. "Next time, don't mess with the HOA." Within seconds, the dam's edge started to crumble. I could see the pressure building, the water swirling faster, like nature itself was getting angry. Then it happened. A thunderous crack. The dam gave way, and the entire lake burst forward like a monster set free. Karen froze, her smile gone. The rushing water raced downhill, straight toward the houses her HOA claimed to protect. I stood there, soaked, watching it unfold. "You just destroyed your own neighborhood," I whispered. She turned to me, panic on her face for the first time. You can fix it, right?" I just stared at her. "You wanted control, Karen. Now you got it." The water roared louder, drowning out her voice as sirens echoed in the distance. The sirens grew louder, echoing through the valley as water rushed down the streets. Karen ran toward her SUV, screaming into her phone, "Call the fire department! Tell them the dam broke!" I couldn't help but shout back, "You broke it!" From where I stood, I could see her perfect suburban paradise turning into chaos. Fences collapsing, mailboxes floating, cars half submerged. The same people who'd voted for her strict HOA rules were now yelling at her from their porches, begging for help. I grabbed my truck keys and climbed the small hill where my cabin stood, safe and dry. My dam had protected them for years, and now it was protecting only me. When the first responders arrived, Karen ran up to them, pointing toward me like she always did. "That's him! He owns the dam! He caused this!" A firefighter gave her a look that could have cut through glass. "Lady, we just heard your voice on the neighbor's cameras ordering it to be demolished." She froze. "What? No, that's taken out of context." I walked closer, dripping wet, holding up my phone. "I recorded everything, Karen. You can keep lying, but the footage doesn't." The firefighter turned to me. "You the owner?" "Yep, built it myself. HOA had nothing to do with it." He nodded slowly. "And you better stay put. This whole neighborhood's going to be under by morning." Karen's hands trembled as she looked down the flooded street, where her prized rose garden and fancy mailbox were now under 3 feet of muddy water. She whispered, almost to herself, "This can't be happening." I stepped beside her and said quietly, "You thought the dam was your enemy? Turns out it was the only thing keeping your world together." Lightning flashed behind us, illuminating the chaos. And in that flicker of light, I saw her face twist, not with guilt, but with anger. "This is Nover. You'll pay for this." I just shook my head. "Karen, you already did." By the next morning, the whole valley looked like a lake again. The HOA sign at the neighborhood entrance floated upside down, half buried in muddy water. Newslands lined the main road, reporters yelling over each other while drones hovered overhead. I stood near my cabin's porch, sipping coffee,
watching the chaos unfold below. Karen was there too, soaked, furious, and trying hard to hold herself together as cameras pointed at her. One reporter asked, "Ma'am, witnesses say you ordered the demolition of a privately owned dam without a permit. Is that true?" She forced a fake smile. "That dam was built illegally. I was protecting the community." I couldn't help but laugh loud enough for the microphones to catch. "Protecting them? You flooded them." Karen spun toward me, face red. "You're trespassing on HOA property," she shouted. I raised my eyebrow. "Karen, look around. Your HOA is underwater." The reporter turned the camera toward me. "Sir, can you confirm you built that dam?" "Yep," I said calmly. "I built it after the city refused to help manage runoff. Kept this whole area safe for 10 years. I even warned her not to touch it." Karen tried to cut in. "He's lying. He owes thousands in HOA fees." "Ma'am, her property records show he's not even part of your HOA." The silence that followed was golden. You could see the panic spread on her face, like she finally realized her power meant nothing outside that imaginary line she drew on a map. Then came the county officials. Hard hats, clipboards, and grim faces. One of them walked right up to Karen and handed her a paper. "This is an emergency liability notice. You and your HOA are responsible for the structural damage caused by unauthorized demolition." Karen's voice cracked. "You can't put this on me." "Oh, we can," he replied. "Every homeowner's suing you, starting today." She looked around for someone, anyone to defend her, but even her board members avoided her eyes. I turned to leave, but one of the officials stopped me. "Mr. Hayes, your construction held up better than any city structure we've seen. You might want to help us rebuild." I gave him a small nod. "Sure, but this time, no HOA near it." Behind me, Karen screamed something about her lawyer, but her voice drowned beneath the sound of helicopter cameras whirring above the disaster she created. A week later, the floodwaters finally started to drain, leaving behind a trail of mud, broken fences, and wrecked cars. The neighborhood that once sparkled with Karen's HOA-approved perfection now looked like a ghost town. Half the residents had already packed up and left. The others stayed only long enough to glare at her every time she stepped outside. I was rebuilding the dam, this time stronger, with reinforced concrete and a proper spillway. The county had officially partnered with me, labeling it a critical flood barrier. Funny thing, the same dam Karen called illegal was now government approved. Karen's fancy SUV sat rusting on the curb, its tires still caked in dried mud. She walked up to the worksite one morning, wearing sunglasses to hide the dark circles under her eyes. "You think you won?" she said, her voice brittle. I didn't even look up from my work. "No one won, Karen. You just learned what happens when you treat power like a toy." She crossed her arms. "The HOA will rebuild. You'll see." I smiled faintly. "You might want to check your mail first." Her face stiffened. Later that afternoon, she did check her mail and found what I knew was waiting, a thick envelope stamped "Lawsuit Notice." The homeowners she'd betrayed were suing her personally for damages. The HOA's insurance company had already backed out. By evening, I saw her sitting alone on what used to be her pristine porch, staring at the water's reflection. For the first time, she didn't look angry, just lost. A few days later, a local news report aired the headline, "HOA president faces jail time for illegal demolition. Local man praised for saving town." They showed clips of the rebuilt dam, the floodwater now calm and controlled. The reporter ended with, "One man's persistence protected the community even when they turned against him." When they asked me for a comment, I said only one thing. You don't destroy what protects you just because you want control. After that, I went back to living quietly by the lake. The new dam gleamed in the sunlight, the sound of rushing water steady and peaceful again. Sometimes when the wind blew just right, I could still hear faint echoes from that day. The crash of concrete, Karen's panicked voice, the roar of justice catching up. But I never felt anger anymore, just peace. Because this time the land was truly mine, and no HOA could ever touch it again. She tried to drown me in control, but ended up sinking herself.